Hello, this is Mr. Griffin, and welcome to another video series that I just accidentally started. A few weeks ago, prior to Bully Ray winning the TNA World Title, I put out a video called 5 Reasons ASS Sucks ASS. And it got over so well, I was like, let me try another one, see how it goes. This time, I got 5 reasons that WWE sucks ass. Now, the 5th reason I got here, John Cena. Let me say this up front. I'm not as crazy as some Cena haters. I don't hate John Cena, the human being. In fact, from what I've seen, he seems like a real cool guy. And he really seems like a hard worker. And I don't even hate John Cena, the wrestler. Because, yeah, he's not the best of all time in the ring. But then again, a lot of guys who I still believe were way more over than him, including Hulk. No, I'll take that cough back. I'll be serious. He's often compared to Hulk Hogan, and Hogan I think was 10 times more over than John Cena ever was or ever will be. But I don't even hate John Cena the wrestler. It's the character, which has not really been updated in years. Now, granted, some might argue, Will Hogan stayed with the same character, WWE. Now, that's true. WWE never officially turned him heel. Yet his heel turn didn't happen until he was in WCW. However, Hogan, for the most part, was still over in that same character. John Cena hasn't been over in that character majorly since 2005. Sure, he still gets his fair share of cheers. But for the most part, he gets booed. And it's getting worse and worse every year. One evidence, that Raw this past night, the night after WrestleMania 29, he practically got booed out of the building. That if I hadn't watched the product regularly in the past few years, I would have swore John Cena was the heel. I would have swore he was the heel, but he's supposed to be the face. Yet he's getting booed by 75 to 80% of the audience. I'm sorry, that's not good. And that leads to and quite frankly, there needs to be an update of this man's character. Some way. I'm not going to say turn him heel. Not going to say, but something needs to be updated and changed. And that gets to a point that I'm going to touch on later. Well, here comes point number 4. What the fuck is up with the card structure on some of these pay-per-views, especially this year? I didn't see Elimination Chamber. I did order the Royal Rumble, and to my chagrin, I did order WrestleMania 29. Shoot me. But anyway, the Royal Rumble, I always felt the card structure was good, except for one thing. I always felt, even though I'm one of the main fans that gripe that CM Punk has not been the main event, and the only time he does is when he's in there with a really big name, when he was the WWE champion. On this one, I actually would have been more okay if they would have done it on that one. And it's just a minor complaint. Looking back, hindsight being 2020, they probably should have had the WWE championship first, then the Royal Rumble. Just my opinion, but that's just nitpicking. But the card structure for this past WrestleMania was terrible. The Miz versus Wade Barrett was on the pre-show. Meanwhile, the 8-man with Tons of Funk and the Funkadactyls versus Rhodes Scholars and the Bellas was taken totally off the card. Now, granted, I didn't really miss that match or the Miz versus Wade Barrett on the main card, but at the same time, these guys have been busting their ass, whether I like any of them or not. Miz has grown on me a little bit. I do like Wade Barrett. Obviously, I like the Funkadactyls. And MT Omar reviews, you will be happy to know, while I am not totally a Bella Twins fan, they are growing on me a bit. I do like the Rhodes Scholars. Brodus Clay and Sweet Tea, I can live with or without. But these guys have been busting their asses all year. And one set of guys only gets on the pre-show for WrestleMania. All the rest of them don't even get on the card. They get taken off because of time for the main events, which was going to get a ton of time anyway. So, and another reason I don't like that move, not only because it screws those guys from being on the pay-per-view itself, I don't like it because you could have used those matches to break up, like those big four main events, like Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger. You could have used Wade Barrett versus The Miz to break up that match. Then, I personally would have had Triple H versus Brock Lesnar next. And let's be honest, even though it should have been the main event, no way CM Punk and Undertaker was going to main event over Rock Cena. So, after Triple H, Brock Lesnar, then probably CM Punk versus The Undertaker. Then after that, the 8-man. And I would have kept it short. Then after that, The Rock versus Cena. And the key there is you could have had two matches that could have broke up, especially after Punk Taker. Because I agree with a lot of the people that's coming out with the videos saying this. And me going back and looking at the card and taking their observations into account, I have to agree. After Punk Taker, no one cared about the last two matches. Oh, sure, they popped some for Brock Taker, but Triple H, excuse me, but it took them a while to warm up to that match. And Rock Cena, they totally shitted on for like a good portion of the match until about maybe the last 10, 15 minutes. I mean, if you would have had those two other matches, they could have broke it up, gave everybody a piss break or a breather, and then throw the big matches. Kind of like how you have to rest between sets when you're working out. I mean, if you go one after, you get burnt out. You really do. You get fatigued. And that's what WWE did take into account. So another reason WWE sucks right now, whoever they got doing their card structure, don't know what the fuck they're doing. Number 3 reason. Another reason that they suck right now, the way they do their Divas division. Say what you want about Impact Wrestling or TNA, they treat their women wrestlers and showcase them a lot better than WWE does theirs right now. At least in the last few years anyway. I mean, say what you want, like I said, about them. I am more likely to see a spot with Gail Kim, Tara, Victoria, whichever you want to call her, Taryn Terrell, Velvet Sky, even though Velvet Sky's not that great. I mean, I'd probably fuck her, but that's about it. And all the other women they have down there, they get showcased. Except for a select few. I mean, who's the only divas you see every week? You see the Funkadactyls, who I do like. You do see the Bellas, who are growing on me. And you see AJ Lee, who, by association with Dolph Ziggler, she gets seen every week. Where's their champion? Caitlyn? Isn't she the Divas champion? If you didn't watch the program regularly, you would never know. Hell. And you know how big of a mark I was for this woman. Eve Torres got showcased way, say what you want about her, she got showcased way more than Caitlyn has been. And that's a damn shame, because I think Caitlyn was as good, or maybe even a little bit better, than Eve in the ring. I mean, they both have great personalities. I mean, this could be, and may I say, there is only one Trish Stratus, okay? So don't read the wrong way when I say this, but You could have another potential big female competitor like a Trish right there, but they're not using them. In fact, they're not using half their Diva roster. They actually use them as the proverbial piss break. And there is so much more they can do with that division. There really is. I mean, they're never going to overshadow the men. Let me say that right now. But to showcase them in the way they're showcasing them now is just piss ass poor. And may I say again, say what you want about TNA, and they are second banana to WWE. No doubt about it. But say what you want about TNA, they at least let their women get showcased. They don't really showcase them in WWE. And I'm starting to understand, as much of a diva, as much of a bad reputation behind the scenes that she has, I can understand why Gail Kim left WWE. Looking at this, I really can now. Can understand why she left, because this is just play straight up bullshit how they do those women. I mean, going back to WrestleMania, and I even talked about this in something earlier, and I was so disappointed this didn't get on the card. And this is another match they could have used to break up the big matches. AJ Lee versus Caitlyn. I don't care if they did have only a couple of weeks' time. This could have been easily a marquee match at WrestleMania. Easily. Very easily. I would even say more so than the match that I originally wanted a few months ago, and that was AJ versus Eve. Even more so, but again, WWE drops the ball on that. So that's the third reason I think WWE sucks ass right now. Here comes reason number 2. Reason number 2, tunnel vision. It seems like when WWE has a program that they absolutely want to do, they get determined to do it, whether it's the writers, whether it's Vince McMahon, whether it's Stephanie, whether it's Triple H, whoever. They seem to get this idea. They're going to push it, whether the fans like it or not. It's what they want to do. It's almost like the show is about what they want to see rather than what the fans want to see. Now, granted, I have been harsh on the fans because some wrestling fans are so damn fickle. And they bitch about every little thing instead of just going with it and see what happens. But there are times I can understand the fans' anger as well because I mean, I'm gonna pick the most obvious target, John Cena. They keep trying to get him over as a major face, keep trying to make everyone like him, and keep trying to do things to almost subliminally say, if you do not like John Cena, something is wrong with you. Which I think is a very condescending way to almost treat your audience. One of the big lessons of world-class championship wrestling, and the reason it was so successful in the early to mid-'80s, is that Gary Hart had a simple formula and simple rule, because he helped run that place, the late Gary Hart. He said, make a good production, present it properly, with a little bit of class. Do not, and that was his big rule, do not alienate the audience. Well, I could tell you, WWE is not only alienating the audience, they're pissing and shitting on the audience big time. Which kind of leads to my number 1 reason why WWE sucks ass. Pissing off the fans. And as you can see, I'm not even appearing on camera for this. As you can see, the camera is pointed directly at my backside. Now, by pissing off the fans, let me use a great example of this. The Big Show turns on Randy Orton and Sheamus after the match with The Shield. Both Sheamus and Randy Orton want a piece of the Big Show. Understandable, logical. But then they do a Twitter poll. Decide, who do you want to see take on the Big Show? Randy Orton or Sheamus? The fans overwhelmingly choose Randy Orton. Yet, after they have made their choice and made their voices heard, they decide, no, we're throwing that out. We're going to have a match between Randy Orton and Sheamus to decide who gets to take on the Big Show. The crowd basically shitted on that match. Chanted everything from ECW to Rob Van Dam to Michael Cole, the Sexual Chocolate, the JBL, hell, Vince McMahon. And I found this out recently. I didn't even what's there even a word is. But had I heard it, as bad a taste as it was, I would have laughed my ass off if I would have known about this. They cut the audio and went to an emergency break because the fans started chanting Chris Benoit. That's right. The former world champion, U.S. champion, the man that was alleged as the Pegasus Kid in Japan, the man that murdered his second wife and youngest son and then hung himself, the disgraced Chris Benoit, got a chant at an event. I would have loved, as poor of a taste as that was by the fans, I would have loved to have seen Vince McMahon's face when that happened. I bet you he was shitting kittens. But this is to my point. If a fucking dead, disgraced, murdering former wrestler gets more respect than your two top guys from the fans, that is proof, if nothing else, that WWE sucks ass! Leave your comments down below. Make a video response if you want. And as they say in the Looney Tunes world, that's all, folks.